My sister tried to seduce my boyfriend and thought she could take him from me. Her face was priceless when she got rejected in front of the whole family. My older sister Dove has a pattern. Every time someone in our family starts dating somebody new, Dove makes it her mission to prove she could take them if she wanted. She's been doing this since high school, and nobody in my family has ever stopped her. When our cousin Remy started dating her now husband, Dove spent an entire barbecue sitting next to him and touching his arm while Remy was inside helping with food. When our brother Gage brought his girlfriend to Thanksgiving, Dove wore the shortest dress she owned and spent the whole night asking his girlfriend questions about their relationship, like she was looking for cracks. When Gage's girlfriend went to the bathroom, Dove told Gage she wasn't pretty enough for him. His girlfriend overheard it and almost left. Our mom told Dove to knock it off, and Dove said she was just being honest. That's what she always says. She's just being honest. She's just being friendly. She's just joking around. She has an excuse for every single thing she does, and our family buys it every time because confronting Dove is like trying to argue with someone who changes the rules mid-sentence. She cries. She says everyone is ganging up on her. Then everyone backs off and she goes right back to doing it. She did it to Remy's husband at least 3 more times after that barbecue. She did it to Gage's girlfriend until Gage stopped bringing her to family events. That relationship ended 6 months later, and Dove said she knew it wouldn't last. Like she didn't help kill it. Like she didn't spend months making Gage's girlfriend feel unwelcome until the girl finally decided the relationship wasn't worth the family that came with it. So when I started dating Perry, I knew what was coming. Perry and I met through work. He's an engineer, and he's quiet and steady, and he doesn't play games. I told him about Dove on our 3rd date. I told him everything. I told him about Remy's husband and Gage's girlfriend and the pattern and the crying and the excuses. Perry listened to all of it and said, okay, so what do you want to do about it? That's why I love him. He didn't say I was being paranoid. He didn't say it probably wouldn't happen. He asked me what the plan was. I told him the plan was to let Dove do what she always does and make sure she couldn't deny it or cry her way out of it. Perry said he was in. The first family dinner I brought Perry to was at our parents' house. I prepped him in the car. I said she's going to focus on you immediately. She's going to compliment you. She's going to find reasons to talk to you alone. Just let it happen. Don't shut her down. Don't flirt back. Just be polite and let her build her own case. Perry said got it. We walked in and Dove was already there, 20 minutes early, which she never was. She showed up in a top that was barely holding on and sat across from Perry. Within 10 minutes she was asking him what he did for work, and then telling him how impressive that was, and how she always thought engineers were so smart. Perry answered her questions politely, and then turned back to me every single time. Dove tried harder. She asked him if he worked out. She asked him what his favorite restaurant was, and said she'd love to try it sometime. She told him he had nice hands. My mother looked uncomfortable but didn't say anything. Gage was watching from across the table. Remy was shaking her head. Perry did exactly what we planned. He didn't flirt back, but he didn't shut her down either. He just let her keep going. After dinner, Dove found Perry in the kitchen while I was in the bathroom. She told him that I could be a lot to handle sometimes, and that she was always around if he needed someone to talk to. Perry said thanks, I'll keep that in mind. When I came back, he told me every word she said. The next family event was our mom's birthday party at a restaurant. Perry and I had talked about this one. I said if she does it again, this is where we say something. He said, are you sure you want it to be your mom's birthday? I said Dove picked Thanksgiving for Gage. She picked a family barbecue for Remy. She doesn't care about the occasion. Why should I? Perry said fair point. We got to the restaurant, and Dove was already seated. This time she'd positioned herself right next to the empty chair where Perry would sit. I watched her do it. She saw us walk in and patted the seat like she was saving it. Perry sat down without reacting. Within 5 minutes, Dove was leaning into him. She kept laughing at everything he said even when he wasn't trying to be funny. She found excuses to touch him. She put her hand on his arm when he told a story about a bridge project at work. She did it again when he passed her the bread basket. The second time she did it, Perry looked at her and said, hey Dove, I actually wanted to ask you something. She lit up. She said, sure, what is it? Perry said it loud enough for the table to hear. He said, do you do this with everyone's boyfriend or just the ones you think won't say anything? The table went quiet. Dove's smile froze. She said, what are you talking about? Perry said you've been flirting with me since the first time we met. You told me my girlfriend was a lot to handle. You keep touching my arm. I'm asking you directly, is this something you do with everyone? Remy said yes. She said it immediately without hesitating. She said, Dove, you did the exact same thing to my husband 3 years ago. Gage said you did it to my girlfriend too, and that's part of why we broke up. Dove looked at our mom for backup. Our mom didn't say a word. Dove started doing what she always does. Her eyes got watery and her voice got shaky, and she said, I can't believe you're all attacking me at mom's birthday. Perry didn't flinch. He said, nobody's attacking you. I asked you a question and 3 people at this table just confirmed the answer. That's not an attack. That's a pattern. Dove turned to me. She said, are you really going to sit there and let your boyfriend talk to me like this? I looked at her and said, he asked you a fair question, Dove. You haven't answered it yet. Dove's face shifted. The tears were still there, but something behind them changed. She realized the crying wasn't going to work this time. There was no escape hatch. Nobody was rushing to comfort her. Nobody was telling Perry to calm down. Nobody was changing the subject to keep the peace. For the first time in her life, Dove was sitting in the middle of her own behavior with nowhere to go. She pushed her chair back and said, I'm not staying here to be humiliated. Perry said, you're not being humiliated. You're being held accountable. There's a difference. Dove looked around the table one more time. Remy was looking at her plate. Gage was looking directly at Dove with his arms crossed. Our dad, who almost never gets involved in anything, was staring at his water glass like he was trying to disappear. And our mom, the one person who had always smoothed things over, who had always told us to just let it go, because that's just how Dove is. Our mom looked at Dove and said, maybe you should sit down and listen for once. That broke something. Not in a dramatic way. Dove didn't scream or throw anything. She just stood there for about 5 seconds with her mouth slightly open, and then she picked up her purse and walked out of the restaurant. Nobody followed her. That was the first time I ever watched Dove leave a room and nobody chased after her. Nobody texted her to make sure she was okay. Nobody called her on the drive home. We stayed at that restaurant for another 2 hours and had one of the best dinners our family had ever had. Remy told a story about her honeymoon. Gage actually laughed for the first time at a family event in over a year. My mom was lighter. She even joked about how long it took her to figure out Perry's name because she kept calling him Henry the first time they met. Perry sat next to me and held my hand under the table. It was was the version of my family I always knew existed underneath the management of Dove's ego. The next morning, my phone blew up. Dove had sent a group text to me, Remy, Gage, and our parents at 2:47 a.m., which meant she'd been up all night composing it. It was 5 paragraphs long. She said she'd never been more humiliated in her life. She said we had conspired against her. She said Perry was controlling and manipulative and that I was too blind to see it. She said Remy was jealous because Dove was prettier than her. She said Gage's girlfriend left because Gage was boring, not because of anything Dove did. She said our mother chose strangers over her own daughter. She said our dad was a coward for sitting there saying nothing. She ended the text by saying she was done with all of us and to never contact her again. I read it 3 times. The first time I felt sick. The second time I felt angry. The third time I realized something. In 5 paragraphs about how everyone had wronged her, Dove didn't deny a single thing Perry said. Not one. She didn't say she wasn't flirting. She didn't say she never told Perry I was a lot to handle. She didn't say she hadn't touched his arm. She just attacked everyone's character and declared herself the victim. That told me everything. Remy responded first. She said, Dove, your husband called me 2 years ago and told me you tried to kiss him at a New Year's party. I didn't bring it up because I didn't want to cause drama, but since we're being honest now, there it is. The group chat went dead silent for about 10 minutes. Then Gage responded. He said, wait, what?